Kind of dropped the ball on this one. Hey there, folks. I am the Mighty Plantain, and I am kind of fulfilling a long-standing viewer request. JMK, thank you very much for the idea. I did finally get to a place where they were selling white Birch Brewing, their Berliner Weisse. Now, here's the thing. I didn't bring my old analog list. I actually keep a handwritten list of viewer requests with me for the trip to with me for the trip to the beer store. Okay, let's hope that's the only time I flub up tonight. So, I went back and forth thinking it wasn't the regular Berliner Weisse he wanted. He wanted me to do the raspberry, maybe the blueberry, I can't remember. It was the regular Berliner Weisse. Sorry, dude, I grabbed the raspberry and the blueberry trying to cover all my bases, but it turns out you mentioned the irregular, non-fruited variety. So, here we are. If I find myself back at the same store again, I will definitely grab the regular Berliner Weisse. I need to start a new list and save it to my phone somewhere so that I don't screw these things up for you guys. But, just to prove a point, I don't know how long ago I got this viewer request. I believe it was at least a year and a half ago, possibly longer. And I did my best. I finally found a place that sold it, and I remembered, and I grabbed it. So, we're going to do both the blueberry and the raspberry tonight. Might take me a little while to get through. So, the blueberry's got a nice pinkish color, which means there's got to be some kind of blueberry juice in there. Wow, that's foaming up really well. Slow down here, get the whole can in. It's almost foaming up and behaving like a soda in terms of the head on it. Look at that. That is an interesting color. Dude, I promise I'm going to try and grab the regular Berliner Weisse. See, it's funny. White Birch, it took me this long to find a place around here that sold it because they operate out of Nashua, New Hampshire. I got a buddy who lives in Nashua. We go down to visit him at least once a year for Extreme Brew Fest. Then we go down to Nashua, and then we cruise down to Boston for Extreme Brew Fest. And he's always taken us to different places in the area that, sell or serve beers. And I hadn't seen anything from White Birch in that area yet. Anyway. Yeah. Unfiltered, unpasteurized, and traditionally made. Best served at 50 to 55 degrees in your favorite glass. Favorite glass, I do still use the Sam Adams Perfect Pint glass. There's 4 different shapes to beer glasses in there. Each one's designed for certain styles, but I've found that the Perfect Pint glass is complementary to pretty much all beer styles. It's not perfect for IPAs. It's not perfect for stouts. It's not perfect for the other styles. It's perfect for Sam Adams Boston Lager, absolutely. But I found that without having a huge cabinet full of glassware, this complements most beer styles quite well, which is why you'll see the Sam Adams Perfect Pint glass in most beer reviews that I run. Is my voice taking on like some kind of hoity-toity sound to it? I'm trying not to, but apparently it's creeping through. Anyway, this is the blueberry Berliner Weisse. Again, not the regular one that you wanted to see, but I am working on that. And at least we got the blueberry. So there's that nice pinkish color I mentioned, but it's definitely a blueberry hue to it if you look at the thicker part of the glass. That highly effervescent soda-like bubbliness that came up has actually died down pretty quick. But there is a little bit of effervescence still. There's a few bubbles coming up from the bottom of the glass. It's slightly hazy, so that tells me there might be a lot of particulates in there from actual fruit. It says here they took their summer seasonal Berliner Weisse, aged on blueberries, at the Brewers Festival they hosted. Word traveled quickly around the fest about how great the blueberry cask conditioned Berliner Weisse had turned out. Soon the tents will So, yeah. They basically just aged it on blueberries in a cask. That's cool. I'll have to remember that. There's a slightly dank aroma to it. I mean, I'm definitely getting some fruitiness and some sourness. But there's this weird dank aroma with maybe a hint of sulfur undertones. That's weird. It's not unpleasant. It's definitely interesting, but it's not what I was expecting. Ooh. It's light. Got a nice light mouthfeel. It's sour up front. It's sour, slightly dank, but definitely has some really tart blueberry flavor after that. Like once you swallow, that sourness kind of starts to fade, and the sweet blueberry flavor comes through. That is a mouthful of blueberries. Again, sour up front, a little bit of dankness, but the second you swallow, that goes away and it's all blueberry. That's pretty good. I'm liking it. It's disappearing quick enough, I'll tell you that. I mean, let's add smooth and easy to drink to that description, which could get me in trouble. 5.5%, so it's not too bad. So getting rid of 16 ounces really quick isn't going to be that much trouble, but it's also not going to kick you in the ass afterwards. I'm liking this. I'm hitting it with a 4 out of 5 rating for the blueberry. So before we open up the raspberry, let's grab this nice tall glass of ice water here, and we will cleanse the palate a bit. According to some folks, I should be eating a couple of saltines or crunching on some pretzels, but I've found that swishing the water around and getting a few good gulps in usually does the trick for me. Plus, it's a lot freaking faster on camera. So, here we go with the raspberry Berliner Weisse. 5.5% on this as well. Common syrup Berliner Weisse. Mit syrup. Or with syrup. Mit syrup. Okay, I guess I could pronounce that as syrup either way in German or in English. Raspberry is a popular and traditional choice. With this special release, we look to recreate that experience for you. Taking our sour German-style wheat ale, and fermented it with raspberry puree. Or refreshing. Okay, so this wasn't necessarily barrel aged on the fruit, but it was fermented with raspberry puree. Okay, nice. I have no fingernails, so I'm struggling a little bit. There it is. That one was just down tight. I don't know what the deal was, but interesting. It's maybe I'm pouring it slower at a different angle, so it's not giving me quite as much of a head as the blueberry did. But it's still behaving with those small bubbles, behaving a lot like a soda. Whew, all that blueberry's coming up on me. What I thought was interesting, though, even the head is pinker But the color is very similar between the two. Very, very similar color. I mean, the raspberry is definitely lighter in color, but it's a similar hue of pink. Huh. Hazy as well. There's a lot more light coming through the raspberry, though. So it's definitely lighter, but again, a very, very similar hue of pink. Yeah, definitely hazy. Still some effervescence. A few bubbles coming up from underneath. That sulfurous aroma that I was getting in the blueberry is here as well, except it's stronger. But there's a bitter fruitiness, a distinctly raspberry-leaning bitter fruitiness underneath in that aroma. I just think it's odd that I'm getting that sulfurous aroma from both of them. I wouldn't have expected that, but maybe it's something to do with the brewing process or how these are aged on the fruit. I don't know. Hell, it could even be the yeast strains that they use. Again, a nice light mouthfeel. That's different. I'm getting the dankness up front. And as I swallow it, the sourness comes through. A stronger sourness than I was getting from the blueberry. And then in the finish, a very strong, fresh raspberry flavor. Nice light mouthfeel again. Easy to drink. Very smooth. Very refreshing from both of them. But yeah, that raspberry in the finish is just, that's definitely raspberry. I mean, there's no mistaking it. Ooh, pardon. And again, but yeah, I'm hitting that with a 4 out of 5 as well. Definitely. So, 2 4s out of 5 for both of these beers. Jay, I'm sorry, man. I screwed up, dropped the ball. I thought it was one of the fruited ones. And I even, as I'm thinking about it, I even swear I grabbed a can of the regular Berliner Weisse. So maybe I filmed it while I was plastered and completely forgot. Or maybe I just was dipping into my stock while I was plastered and completely forgot. But I swear I had at least 1 can of the regular Berliner Weisse in the fridge to go with these two. Or maybe I'm just making that up afterwards and I completely forgot altogether. But either way, at some point I'm going to grab a can of the regular Berliner Weisse. I'm going to review that for you just so I can fulfill that viewer request. But this is one of those mistakes that I am not disappointed by because these are both really great, really solid beers. And I'm looking forward to trying more from White Birch. So, I guess that's all I got to say. If you enjoyed what you saw, folks, make sure to like and share the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. While you're down there liking, sharing, and subscribing, make sure to hit me up in the comments or the email link. Let me know what you thought of these beers if you've had them. Yeah, till next time, thanks for tuning in. Cheers.